So I'm going to talk about something I use in my class fairly often, and I'm going around on my kidney table here to show real quick, and that is file folder reports, and that's from this book here. It's Evan Moore. If you're ever looking up Evan Moore, you can look up this number, EMC 6001. These are easy file folder reports. They're kind of already set up for you where you can print out the masters. So here's some masters for putting together this file folder reports. How I use file folder reports is when students tell me, I don't have anything to do, I'm done with everything, I have nothing to do, so they have a folder in their desk that they keep labeled FFR, which is file folder reports. So they have one of these that they complete a month, and they're basically working on them in their spare time. I have one for each month. Some of the ones I'm using this year is there's all about my birthday, and they have to actually look up and put certain specific information on things. They have to look up who shares their birthday. They have to look up what day they were actually born on per the year. And I have them use the computers or the iPads. And then this one in particular has a little pop-up, so I show them how to do a pop-up. I keep all of the papers in my file cabinet, and I print off stacks of the master copies sort of like this. For every unit, I do try and keep a sort of cheat sheet that has the information on it if they need to have it. And so I have that there for them to be able to look at. So here's some examples. I'm just going to go over them kind of quick and show if I have a little sheet or some tips on how to do that. For everyone, I do have a teacher example. So here's a state one. Every student gets to look up a state, the state flower, the state tree, the state bird, the state capital. There's supposed to be a little section here for something else, but I have the students play a game online. It's called Quarters, and it has all of the different 50 state quarter examples. And so the students have to play where the states are, and they have to play this little game, and at the end they're able to print out the actual quarter from their page from their state, and they can color it and put it on, and then they have to put it where it is on the map. And then they make these little flags that have a popsicle stick, and we stick them in a little piece of styrofoam so they all have the different ones. I print out a list of all of the states, so that way I know who's doing which state and I don't have any repeats. And here's a printout of all of those quarter pages that they're master's pages that I have. And then I have the masters for the actual reports themselves. So just in case that quarter game, they're like, oh, I wasn't able to print out the page, what am I going to do now? I just have them already done and printed out. And then I do have that little cheat sheet for every single one. Let's say if it's a short month or we don't have time, or there's always a page there that has the information that they can look up on that. One of the standards for 4th grade is animal adaptations, and so I usually like to do a lot of ocean animals because they've got a lot of very interesting adaptations, and this one has a book to it where they have to put information about them. They have to figure out how to do a word web, and then this one has where they actually have to do a pop-up of the habitat as well, so I like this one. And then I do have some interesting animals I picked, like a spookfish or a vampire squid or a blobfish, and so they are very interesting and fascinating ocean animals that have some very interesting adaptations and quirks to them. And then, so those are the little cheat sheet for that one. National parks, I usually save that one for a shorter month because it's a little bit quicker, but they do have to write a full-blown report, so their final copy has to go on it. They just draw a picture of whatever the national park is, and then this time they get to use a collage out of paper, so out of construction paper. They can do that one. And then here's my list of all the national parks they can choose from. And then here is their little pages that have the information. Minerals, rocks and minerals. We do rocks as one of the standards in 4th grade science. And so I really like this one because they have to describe a lot of descriptive details on what their mineral would look like. And then they actually have to look up all of these words in the dictionary. So it gives them some dictionary skills for this one. And then they have to do a little model of it. And then on the back, they can use glitter glue to make it sort of look that sort of same type of mineral. And then once again, list of all the minerals they can select from, as well as information and pictures of the minerals. The students really do like looking these ones up online to see all of the history about some of them or how some of them could be considered dangerous, and so they kind of have fun with that one. Here's some different Native American groups and Native American tribes. The one I had done my example on is the Hopi tribe, and I really like this one too because they have to write a little book and they have to have a table of contents on like food, clothing, some interesting facts, and so they have to actually write out a lot of that information of what they look for. So they do get a little bit more complicated over time, or depending on how much time you have for that month for them to complete it. They have to do a map, they have to design the Native American dress, and so they have to show that. Oh, and this one's interesting too because they can do a model of the type of dwelling they live in. So it's actually a 3D model that they can put on top of it, and we kind of display all of them and have them all out and ready to go. I do have a few of those that are, I have a lot of different tribes and groups and of Native American people, so they can look up a lot of some of them are the same, but they can look up different information about them. So that was, there's that. And then I saved this one for April, and pollution is also a standard. As you can see, this is from like 2010, so it's 8 years old, so it still looks pretty good. There's some wear and tear on them. I tell students they cannot put them in their desk. So they come up with ways to help save the planet, and so this is like drive my car less. And so on a little tab, I do a little 3D picture of the car, so 2 needs to match 2. I have them look those up in particular to figure out how to reduce, reuse, recycle. And so those are some examples of how I use file folder reports. There's a lot more in the book. I have done explorers. I've done for civil rights movement. I've done famous African Americans from the United States. And so what I do is I use this here. It's a large pocket chart. And so I usually have 2 or 3 examples that have been left throughout the year, but I put mine up in front so students can see what I expect and how I want it, and they can use it as a reference. Students are working on file folder reports. I'll go ahead and put this one in, all at different times. So once the student finishes their birthday one, they can move on to the state one. Once they finish the state one, they can move on to the plant or the ocean animal ones. So at any given time, they're working on different ones. And so they just kind of keep turning them in and keep completing them as time goes by, because it's basically however much extra time they have to work on stuff. So that's how I use file folder reports in my class.